Thursday, October 31st. The city streets are crowded for the holiday. Even with the rain, hidden in the chaos is the element, waiting to strike like snakes. And I'm there too. What I'm doing is my family's legacy. If I can't have an effect, I don't care what happens to me.
Think to yourself for a second. Has there ever been a movie that you watched that was more than just a movie to you? A movie that affected you and had a big impact on your life? A story with characters and a message and themes that changed your view on life, that shaped you and the way you lived your life? Well, for me, there are a handful of films I could name that had that impact on me, but the most recent movie I watched with that effect on me was none other than Matt Reeves' The Batman, that released in 2022. And it's not an overstatement to say that this film changed me as a man and in some ways quite honestly saved my life. And later in this video I will attempt to explain why. But first, let me give myself a bit of background. Growing up, Batman was always my favourite superhero. I grew up playing Lego Batman the video game on Nintendo DS. When I was about 7 years old, I watched The Dark Knight for the first time. I vaguely remember Heath Ledger's Joker terrifying the hell out of me, and the image of Harvey Dent's face on fire is forever burned into my brain. And that movie caused me to have zero sleep the night I saw it because it absolutely scarred me. All these years later, I love Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy and have become some of my favourite comic book movies of all time, especially the first two. That's part of the reason why, at 14 years old, I was so excited for Batman v Superman in 2016, with Ben Affleck taking on the role. The trailers looked incredible. It was the first time we'd get to see Batman and Superman on screen together, and of course Ben Affleck looks so cool as Batman. And even though I really liked Affleck's dark and brooding portrayal of the character, the films he was in and the character of Batman himself just completely screwed him. Batman v Superman and the DCEU as a whole was an absolute train wreck in my opinion, and were some of the most disappointing films I saw during my teenage years. It was around that point that I was starting to lose hope for my love and admiration of Batman, instead turning my attention to mainly Marvel heroes. So there was a point where I just sighed and accepted that there would never be a Batman movie as good as The Dark Knight ever again. But I was wrong. Fast forward to October 2021. I watched the official trailer for The Batman starring Robert Pattinson. Now, up to that point, I only knew Robert Pattinson as that cringy guy from the Twilight movies. Up until then, I was unaware of the actor that Pattinson had become with his brilliant performances in films like Tenet, The Lighthouse, Good Time, and so on. So, as you can imagine, after watching this new Batman trailer, I was blown away. I absolutely loved the vibe and feeling of the film and what Pattinson brought to the character. But this film felt different. Not just different from any Batman movie I had seen, but different from any comic book movie I had seen. I was officially so hyped for this movie. And after watching the film the following year, I loved it. It instantly became one of my favourite movies of all time, and on some days I might even say it is my favourite movie of all time. And before you ask, yes, it is better than The Dark Knight. Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne is absolutely perfect. I can say with 100% certainty that he is my definitive Batman. In only the past 15 years or so, we have gotten so many different interpretations and actors taking on the role of Batman, from Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, Will Arnett, and so on. But Robert Pattinson brings humanity to the role and makes this portrayal his own. I absolutely adored his nonchalant, drained portrayal take on the character. You can see that he is really broken and troubled by his past. He actually feels like a man who watched his parents get killed in front of him as a child. The way he silently lurks around without saying a word, but you can tell exactly what's going on inside his head through his eyes. Pattinson effortlessly steals every scene he's in. I loved how the film really focuses on the character study of Bruce and his psyche and trauma. Don't get me wrong, I love the Dark Knight trilogy, but I wouldn't exactly call them good Batman stories. The Batman switches that up, putting Batman the detective in the spotlight, and the psychology of the character of Bruce Wayne. Every single punch Batman throws is a punch thrown at the man who murdered his parents. He calls himself Vengeance, because that's what he truly believes he is. When he puts on that mask, he doesn't see himself as human. He believes he is a force of vengeance, a part of the night, inflicting his retribution upon the crime of Gotham City in a way to heal himself, and forgive himself for what happened.
I'm vengeance.
While watching the film for the first time, I found myself really relating to Bruce's character. I don't want to sound cringe, but I could see a lot of myself in him. The way he acts around people, the way he carries himself in a very quiet and reserved manner is very much like how I do. The way he has this relentless drive to be better. Seeing so many similarities to me and who I want to be brought me so much comfort in myself. But I'll speak more on that later in the video. Another amazing performance comes from Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle, who is also my definitive Catwoman. An incredible actress starring in the film Mad Max and the series on Hulu High Fidelity. I loved her role in this story, and her scenes with Batman were some of the best written parts of the movie. It's like they're the two sides of the same coin. Someone who went down the same path as Batman with a slightly different but still dark past and different ways she goes about her morals. Bruce and Selina's ensemble was perfect. The two played off each other so well, and I really hope she returns for the sequel. Now let's get into how this movie actually changed my life. Back in October 2021, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and it really took a heavy toll on me. For months, I was at the lowest point of my life. I was depressed, I had no motivation at all, I was falling behind with work and life in general, and was genuinely unhappy with my life, and wasn't sure if I was going to make it out. But one of the things that pulled me out of that darkness was when I watched this movie, The Batman, and it spoke to me on a personal level. The message of the movie and the arc that Batman goes on really inspired me to keep going and never give up. Batman's monologue at the end of the movie really sums this up and really touched me.
Vengeance won't change the past. Mine or anyone else's. I have to become more.
When Batman said that, it felt like he was speaking directly to me. Living in the past and wishing things had turned out differently won't change anything. We all must grow beyond it and become better. The quote that stuck with me the most was this:
Our scars can destroy us, even after the physical wounds have healed. But if we survive them, they can transform us. They can give us the power to endure and the strength to fight.
Sometimes it's the lessons we learn from the bad experiences we wish never happened to us that shape us to who we're all meant to be. Like I said earlier in the video, seeing myself in Bruce Wayne as an introverted, reserved guy who often feels misunderstood, is devoted to a cause and has a lot of built up hurt and anger inside him, resonating with him on that level made me feel okay about being who I am. To wrap this all up, it's safe to say that The Batman has had a huge impact on my life, and I'm looking forward to the sequel coming out in a few years' time. The Batman Part 2 is without question my most anticipated movie over the next few years. And as I was writing this video, the trailer for the Penguin spin-off series just dropped, and it looks class. I cannot wait for that show and Part 2, and whatever other content comes from this universe. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. For obvious reasons, this is a very personal video, so I really hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy the video, it would mean a lot to me if you could leave a like and hit subscribe for more videos like this one. And while you're at it, if you can, check me out on my other social medias. And once again, thank you so much for watching.